Hello, welcome back to video 2. What we're going to cover here is really just some basics on how to use the phone day to day, making, receiving, holding and transferring calls. So let's start just by talking through a few of the buttons. This panel down the side here is programmable. You will notice that the top three already have a purpose. We have a release button for when you're using the headset. You'd press that button to pick a call up and you'd press the button again to answer. The next button down is your voicemail button. If I press voicemail,
please enter your password and press hash.
Then, as you hear, we immediately go into voicemail. Your voicemail default password would have been set to 777 and then hash. That will get you into your voicemail so you can get in there and record your greetings. Each phone has the ability to make and receive up to 4 simultaneous calls. So if we were making an outbound call now, we can see line 1 would go busy. If we had a call coming in on line 1, you could then make a call out on line 2 to speak to a colleague to ask them a question or something like that. We have navigation and control functions here, which we'll talk about in a minute, and then the keypad. The whole phone's driven by the display, so the vast majority of functions you're going to need on a day-to-day basis are going to come up on these soft keys down the bottom, which you'll see change function as we do different things on the phone. The biggest difference you're going to notice with this phone compared to your normal phone system is that you don't need to dial 9 for an outside line. If I want to dial a number in central London, I can just dial 0208, whatever the number happens to be, and as soon as I'm ready, I can just press the dial button and that will start that call for me. So we're just going to clear that down. So let's just talk through some of the functions that I think you're going to want on a day-to-day basis. Firstly, what can be very useful is our history function. So history allows us to look at calls that we've made, received and missed. So I've just pressed the history button, I've gone into the menu, and then if I decide I want to look at calls that I've received, I can just go down. Obviously there's nothing in there at the moment, but equally I could go back in here and I can look at calls that I've dialed, pick calls that I've made, and it'll give me a list of all of the calls that I've numbered. The phone will store up to 20, so you can really just scroll down that list, find the number that you want to call. When you find it, you press the dial button and the phone will dial that number. We have a directory option there, so we can program phone numbers into the system directory that allows you to dial numbers easily without having to remember the whole number. You can just tag a number with a short code. Do not disturb puts the phone into do not disturb mode. Essentially means that while you can still make calls, you can't receive calls. So I'll take that back out. And then within the menu, we have all of the other functions within the phone system. So if you go into settings, for instance, we may want to change the way that the phone rings. We might want to change the brightness of the display. Everything else you'd want to personalize on your own phone can be done from here. And any changes that you make within the menu only affect your phone and nobody else's. So we've talked about making a call. Don't need to dial 9, just dial a number. Obviously when you're receiving a call, the phone will ring. So if I just put a call into Jim, bear with me a second, then back. When the phone rings, you'll get a clear display on to show you who the call's coming in from. We can answer that call. So if I want to answer in hands-free, I press the answer button. If I decide that I want to divert the call elsewhere, I can do, or I can reject the call. But simply to answer, I pick the handset up and that call's connected and I'm now talking to Mark. And when I want to end that call, I put the handset down and the call's finished. Nice and simple. We're on silent ring now because I turned that ringer down. Didn't want it to be too loud, so I'm just going to turn it up ever so slightly. We can hold and transfer. I think I'm going to cover that on the next video to try and compress this down. So here we've talked through the buttons, we've talked through making a call and receiving a call. Video 4 is going to talk to you about holding and transferring and some other commonly used functions.